There is a spending plan moving through Washington right now that is being sold to you as a military victory. More defense, more strength, more America. What they are not telling you, what nobody on cable news is saying clearly, is that the money to pay for it has to come from somewhere. And right now, the leading proposal on the table puts that somewhere directly inside your retirement. We're talking about potential cuts to Medicaid that affect nearly 8 million seniors. We're talking about a budget framework that freezes cost of living adjustments. We're talking about $500 billion in mandatory spending reductions, and Social Security and Medicare are on the list of programs being discussed. You were told this wouldn't happen. You were told, by name, on camera, that Social Security and Medicare would be protected. That promise and this budget cannot both be true. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's in this plan, what it would cost you in real dollars, and what the fine print says that the headlines are skipping entirely. Stay with me. Let me tell you who this video is for. You are 58, 62, 67 years old. You worked for decades. You paid into Social Security every single paycheck, sometimes 2 jobs worth. You planned around Medicare. You built a retirement picture based on what the government told you was coming. And now you're watching the news and you're seeing words like defense buildup and budget rebalancing and mandatory spending reform, and something in your stomach is tightening. That instinct is correct. Because here's what those phrases actually mean when you translate them out of Washington language and into your bank account. Let's start with the numbers, because the numbers are where the truth lives. The current White House budget framework, as of early 2025, calls for increasing defense spending by approximately $150 billion over the next decade, while simultaneously reducing what they call non-defense discretionary spending and mandatory program spending. Now, mandatory spending. That's the term you need to understand. Mandatory spending is the category that includes Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. It's called mandatory because Congress previously committed to pay it automatically as long as you qualify. When a budget proposal targets mandatory spending reductions, it is, by definition, targeting Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. There is no version of that phrase that doesn't include your benefits. The Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan, not Democratic, not Republican, has confirmed that the current trajectory of proposed cuts includes $600 billion in Medicaid reductions over 10 years. $600 billion. And here's who that hits hardest. Not young, healthy people on Medicaid. It hits the 7.9 million Americans who are over 65 and rely on Medicaid to cover what Medicare doesn't pay. Long-term care, nursing home costs, prescription drugs. If you think Medicare covers everything, I need you to sit with this. The average nursing home stay costs over $9,500 a month. Medicare covers about 100 days. After that, it's Medicaid or it's your savings. That safety net is what this plan is cutting. Now let me tell you about the part of this story that is being almost completely ignored. The Social Security Trust Fund, based on the most recent trustees report, is already projected to hit shortfall by 2033. At that point, even without any new legislation, benefits could be automatically reduced by approximately 21%. That's the baseline. That's before any new budget plan. Now add this. The current administration has proposed redirecting payroll tax revenue streams as part of a broader economic restructuring. There have been discussions, documented on record, about reducing or eliminating the employee side payroll tax as a stimulus mechanism. The payroll tax is how Social Security gets funded. If you cut the payroll tax, even temporarily, you accelerate the depletion of the trust fund. You move that 2033 date forward. The CBO, in a recent analysis, flagged that certain tax cut proposals could pull that deadline forward by 12 to 18 months. So we're not talking about 2033 anymore. We could be talking about 2031. That's 5 years away. And a 21% cut on the average Social Security check of $1,976 a month? That's $415 a month, gone. Every month. For the rest of your life. Here's where I want you to pay close attention, because this is the part they are counting on you not seeing. When the conversation is dominated by the word war, when the headlines say military, strength, security, your attention goes there. And while your attention is there, the fine print moves. Defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, collectively received over $200 billion in federal contracts in 2023 alone. When defense budgets increase, those companies' revenues increase, their shareholders profit. Who are those shareholders? Institutional investors, hedge funds, the same financial system that has spent 40 years trying to get access to Social Security funds through privatization proposals. This is not conspiracy. This is public record. Follow the money. Senator Bill Cassidy, on camera in front of a room full of financial industry representatives, described using public frustration with Social Security as, and I'm paraphrasing from his documented remarks, an opportunity to advance a restructuring of the program. That restructuring means private accounts, Wall Street management, fees, market risk. Your guaranteed benefit becomes a market bet, and the defense budget expansion is the distraction that makes that conversation easier to have. This is not politics. This is your money. I want to speak directly to the women watching this for a moment, because this hits you differently, and you need to know that. Women on average receive about $1,600 a month in Social Security, roughly $300 less than men, because of the wage gap, career interruptions, and caregiving years that didn't count toward the earnings record. A 21% cut to $1,600 is $336 a month. That's $4,032 a year that disappears. For a woman who is 67, who worked her whole life, who did everything they told her to do, that is the difference between staying in her home and not. And Medicaid cuts hit women at a rate of nearly 2-to-1, because women make up the majority of nursing home residents and long-term care recipients. This is not abstract policy. This is your life. And I need you to understand what's actually being proposed. Let me make this simple, because the complexity is part of how they keep you from acting. Here is the truth in 2 sentences. The war spending plan requires cutting somewhere else, and the somewhere else, buried in the budget language, framed as reform and efficiency, is the money you were promised. They are not cutting your benefits because they have to. They are cutting your benefits because you are less organized, less politically powerful, and less vocal than the defense industry. That can change. Here's what I want you to do, right now, this week. First, go to ssa.gov and pull up your My Social Security account. Look at your projected benefit amount. Write it down. That number, under the current trajectory, could drop by 21% by 2031. Know your number before it changes. Second, look up your representatives, both your senators and your House member. Every single one of them has a website. Every single one has a contact form. You do not need a lawyer. You do not need a lobbyist. You need to send one message that says, I am a constituent over 60. I vote. Do not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid to fund defense spending increases. That message, sent by enough people, gets read. I've seen it work from the inside out. Third, share this video, not because I need the views, because the woman in your life who is 63 and hasn't checked her benefit projection in 3 years needs to hear this. The couple you know who think Medicare covers everything needs to hear this. The system counts on us not talking to each other. Start talking. Look, I know this is a lot. And I know it's frightening to watch something you planned your whole life around get treated like a line item to be negotiated. But you are not powerless here. You know the truth now, and the truth is the most important thing. They can spin the headline. They cannot spin your bank account. I'm Meg Cole. If you found this useful, subscribe, because this conversation is not over, not even close. And if you have questions about your specific benefit, your timeline, your situation, Drop them in the comments. I read them, I answer them, because that's why I'm here. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.